Hello, John.
Hello, Albert.
Today we're going to talk about Leo Varadkar's neighbours that live in Riverwood Hall apartments in Dublin 15 beside the train station. Leo Varadkar lives across the road in Rosehaven apartment complex. So the tenants there are about to lose their apartment. They've been there for many years. There's 10 apartments, and each apartment was offered to each tenant for 250,000 each, but they only had a week to decide whether to buy it or not.
Yes, I presume they're there for many years because the man that owned it, I think, was a Mr. Liam Maye. Lord of mercy on me, died. I knew Maye's when I lived in Boyle, Common, and they were big contractors in Sligo, and they would have been very wealthy even in those times. And so he must have been one of them. Now, so he's died, and now it's in receivership with a crowd called Frank Thornton, and they've invited Hooker MacDonald estate agents to dispose of them. Now the tenants, as you said, were offered the sale to buy these apartments at 250,000 each, which for an apartment in Castleknock is probably considered good value. They've been paying €1,100 a month rent, which doesn't grow on trees either. If you went looking for a fella for, say, give us 1,000, he might just keep his hand in his pocket and send you off with a flea in your ear. So they've been paying that, and I do believe they had some kind of a lease rent sort of situation, and they would be, probably all those people would be working. It wouldn't be a rent allowance situation. So I believe that they should be afforded the money that they paid in the rent should be a factor towards the purchase price of 250,000. It should be reduced somewhat depending on how long they were there, because it reminds me a little bit of the Irish Life apartments that they had in Mespil Road, which were sold very reasonable years ago to the people that lived there all their life. A lot of them civil servants, and they were able to buy them at very reasonable rates. So I think that the 250,000 could have been perhaps reduced, having regard for the fact how long these people were living there, and the fact that they were paying £1,100 a month, which is substantial. First of all, they should try and buy it, and there should be some lending agency that would give them the money, because it would be a good investment, and hopefully they have a few pounds saved themselves. But the idea of them being evicted, it doesn't seem just, and according to the information, they've got 11 to 12 weeks, which is 2 months to 3 months to clear out. Now, if you've lived in a place for years, perhaps 10 years, maybe perhaps 50, maybe perhaps 20, you have set down roots. And it's not right to be uprooting families. You don't uproot families that are living in council houses or what have you. It'd be considered draconian. So people living that's been paying €1,100 a month shouldn't be evicted either, because they'll then have to be housed by the council or something. They'll be homeless.
Well, yes, and the rent is obviously, if they're paying 1,100 for many years, the rent nowadays for a 2-bedroom apartment in Dublin 15 will probably be about €1,800.
Well, you see, that's robbery. That should never be permitted. This is the lack of competition in banks. A German bank that lends to homeowners or what have you at very reasonable rates was advised to be in this country, but Central Bank turned them down, and so the monopoly situation that we have within the lending situation is corrupt. It shouldn't be allowed. Those people should never be evicted. End of story. That's about them.
Now, they did say in the media that Riverwood Hall, that Leo Varadkar lives across the road in Rosehaven, but rumour has it in Dublin 15 that Leo Varadkar no longer lives there, that there's no longer a police presence there as there was for 24 hours because he's the Taoiseach. They're saying that he actually lives in Farmleigh, but not a lot of people know about it. That's the local gossip.
That's the government establishment where I think they're supposed to entertain foreign leaders.
That's right, yeah, and the Queen stays there.
So
etc.
There's no foreign leaders visiting. Mrs. May, the Theresa May and Prime Minister of Britain, she won't be hopping over soon.
She probably will.
Tea and toast and perhaps a bit of marmalade jam.
And Trudy and a few more.
Well, are they no heels?
Huh?
Are they no heels? No pun intended. So if he's living there, I presume he has a room with a view, because I think it's in Phoenix Park or somewhere like that.
It is indeed, and he's got his own.
Well, I think an invite there myself, I must admit, for afternoon tea, because if he's living there, he's living in a very nice establishment, and I wonder will he be there for as long as this Fine Gael independent people like Zapone and Canadian and Ross, Shane Ross, does he expect to be in power for another perhaps 12 months with the support of Fianna Fáil? By rights, they should have an election without being allowed to do what they're doing and overspend on children's hospitals, and there's no need for it at all when they had 2 children's hospitals for years doing an excellent job. What are they up to? So here we have a government house that was not supposed to be for Taoiseachs, except when they were entertaining foreign leaders, very important ones, perhaps even as former President Kennedy when he visited the country. I don't know where he stayed. I think he stayed at the American Embassy. They didn't have Farmleigh. That was brought when Bertie Ahern, when they had a majority in the Dáil. So my opinion is that it's not meant for a residence for anyone to be living in it in any semi-permanent position.
And especially for the leader of the country, given the housing crisis.
Well, you see, the housing crisis as well, which is serious, and to say like that it's caused by the astronomical prices that land that's done for housing seems to fetch. So they should have enough brains between their ears to be able to sort of build affordable housing. Apparently a budget that could be built at about 250 odd thousand or less, if there wasn't all these other charges added on, so as people become millionaires and then go and live abroad, I presume, or avoid tax as best they can, this type of thing. So my view is that if the Taoiseach, in this case Fine Gael, that this government that's caused itself prudent, if he's living there, it doesn't seem right, and it doesn't seem right when he already has accommodation in an apartment block, which I presume is quite nice, and perhaps he has a view of maybe other apartment blocks. But either way, it shouldn't be that he should be permanently in some capacity. Well, it's not going to say permanent, it's as long as this government lasts, and stuck over in Farmleigh, because after all that was meant to be a residence for them to entertain visiting leaders.
I think it was actually Bertie Ahern who once described himself as a socialist, a champagne socialist. But I think it was actually his idea to renovate part of Farmleigh for the use of a future Taoiseach.
Oh, I see. So he hoped to be there maybe longer
himself.
So he would have a nice view and perhaps a bit of a walk in the evening in the park and visit, shall we say, the estate, because it was originally Arthur Guinness. Well, not Arthur, I presume descendants of Guinnesses, maybe they're lords and ladies now in Leapen, but they were there, and so that's the place to buy it. They got a nice few shillings for their trouble that they were living there in Phoenix Park. I wonder did they have a wall around it, because a lot of these ones that were lords and ladies of Leapen, they have a lot of big high walls around them.
They do.
Now, I believe that was supposed to be built by people that were starving, so as they could get some money, they could buy food. It didn't, now some say it was that, I'm not 100% sure, but I wonder, is there a wall around Farmleigh? Perhaps there isn't.
There is a very, very, very high wall around Farmleigh.
Oh, is there?
And absolute security with cameras, barbed wire, you name it.
Well, then there's a high wall, did you say?
It's a fortress.
Well, that's the usual now that of who they bought it from. They always had high walls, and you then step in there, perhaps take an apple off an apple tree, as I often did,
Yeah.
or a plum off a plum tree, and suddenly you'd have a dog and you had to clear over the wall. And when you would jump 6 foot. When it's a howling dog after you take a look out of your trousers. So Zoom Farmleigh was one of them places you couldn't get in the gate because there'd be somebody there. Who are you when you're at home?
Yeah.
So I couldn't pass as T-shirt with the country. But falling in, so you wouldn't be allowed in. So Mr. Well, perhaps this is what Bertie Ahern had an intention, that the Taoiseach or Prime Minister of the country could pack himself there for a bit, and I suppose maybe to have a chef there as well, so he mightn't have to do any cooking.
Now you're talking.
Well, this is it, so you must say I'll have the hors d'oeuvres first and all the rest of it, so you'd be all like as if you were in a high-class restaurant.
Well, he was called, Leo Varadkar was called Lord Snooty there a couple of weeks ago in the media, and I think they weren't far wrong.
Well, did they discover that he was there and did this kind of satire? Because it's the one thing we don't want any of these lords and ladies a leap, and I think a fella called Boland, that was a Fianna Fáil minister during the turbulent times, mentioned something about belted pearls and stuff like that in a very derogatory term. He didn't seem to like any of them ones with twinkles. Now, especially when they have walls around it, because walls are given out about President Trump, who wants to build a barrier to prevent all the troops going into the US. And they call it a wall, but it's actually a steel barrier for security. And yet we have all these estates with big walls around them here, and they don't call them the derogatory names that should be called.
Well, now Leo's got his own wall. If it's true, he's got his own wall to keep the peasants out.
But there was a wall in China. Is it based on that, I wonder? Because that's communist, and because they certainly have a totalitarian approach to issues, and forking out money for a big hole in the ground that I see up in James Street, where the hospital is. Now, I hope nobody falls into it, but maybe some of the government could fall into it.
Could be their bunker.
So, now, why they're going down so deep, it tells me that there's something wrong with that site. I mean, I presume we have newspapers and people that they call themselves investigative journalists. RTE is always sticking their snout into something that doesn't concern us whatsoever. Go up there and have a look at the hole and perhaps jump into it and see if there's water in it and can have a swim.
There you go. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much.